Today we will talk about self-sabotage.
So welcome everyone to our podcast called Back in the Game, where we talk about how the life of women changed after they become mothers in terms of confidence, career, and productivity.
Hello everyone, I am Dania Hamdan. I write articles about education, motherhood, parenthood on a blog that I opened called Be.
Hi, I'm Raquel Lisboas, and I'm a self-development specialist with focus in mothers who want to get back in their careers, strengthen their confidence, and be more productive without guilt.
So Raquel,
Yes.
self-sabotage,
Mm-hmm.
a super skill of mothers.
No.
It's our
It's our specialty.
Exactly. But why does it happen? Does it come just natural? I don't know, is it programmed in us to do it once we start to have this experience in motherhood, or is it something that we learn maybe later, or did we learn it earlier and then it exposes now, or what's the reason?
All right. So first of all, we have to understand that self-sabotage, it's not a flaw, but it's actually a misfired survival mechanism. And what do I mean by that? So basically, we still carry a lot of things from our ancestors, let's say from the caveman time, or maybe more specifically, as we are talking about women, from the cave women time. We still have a lot from there. And our system was designed to protect us. So in that time, what happens? You have to protect your offspring. You have to protect your nest. So that's the only thing you do. You have to be around that nest and keep them safe. Whatever you do that is out of that scenario, it represents a risk to your babies, to your offspring. Yeah, so that was designed to protect you and your offspring.
Yeah.
So we still carry the same mechanism, but now we live in the modern world.
Yeah.
So basically, it's not a bad thing. The self-sabotage is not 100% bad, but we need to learn how to use it.
In this modern world.
Exactly, yes.
I see.
So, and the way I see it, it's basically like as if the self-sabotage was a bodyguard, you know? So you don't fire a bodyguard because the bodyguard is there to protect you. But if the bodyguard is not doing the job properly, you need to give the right instructions, you know? So giving the right instructions, you use that in your favor. So you need that to protect yourself in the modern world against the real risks. But when you go to your career, when you go to do a self-care routine by yourself without your kids, you shouldn't feel guilty, or you shouldn't feel unconsciously as if your kids are at risk, because they're not, unless you leave them alone at home or in the streets, and then okay. But if they are with somebody who is taking care of them in the proper way, that it doesn't represent a risk, you know?
Yeah, you actually just opened a new door of knowledge to me, because I never saw it this way.
Yeah.
I did not think about self-sabotage from the point of view that you shared, which is then basically, yes, we are in a way programmed.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
But yeah, we need to, as you say, we need to learn how to apply it to our life now, so that it does not take over us, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like a computer. You need to update, you know, to update
yes,
to the new version. Yeah, to the current version that it applies to that new reality. Yeah, because we shouldn't eliminate, and then we put ourselves at risk, you know. And the fear is there to protect us. So
exactly,
that's the thing. You know, it's part of us as humans, and it helps us somehow. But it should be with the right setup, let's say.
Exactly. Yeah. Then we need to accept our fear, but we don't have to let our fear guide us in a dysfunctional way.
Exactly.
Let's say.
Yes. And it's very important to remember that the fear, it's a feeling, and it's there to protect us. So who should command this whole thing? It's us, and not the feeling. You know, and sometimes what happens very often is that the feeling controls us, but we are the ones who should have the control of that.
Yeah, because the feeling is just telling us something about us, or something, about a situation, but they're not there as enemies. They're just talking to us, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, and to protect us.
Now let's talk about specifically mother's self-esteem. what are the three most toxic thoughts that mothers have?
Well, according to my experience, my personal and professional experience, the things that I most hear is that mothers, they should manage everything by themselves. They should do everything alone, basically. They shouldn't accept help, you know? This is number one, first of all. Second is, I don't deserve to invest on myself. And third will be more like, if I prioritize my well-being, I'm being selfish and I'm not really caring for my kids.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt you, but we
please.
so much have this tendency to forget about ourselves, because sometimes our life becomes our child. It's everything turns around the child, which is good from a point of view, of course, because you're responsible for the child. But you definitely don't have to forget yourself, because either way you won't even be able that much to give your best to your child, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing, because the way it should be a balance. Life in general, for everything, it's a balance, you know. Otherwise, and then, you know, something will break or it goes to one side or the other. So it's important to take care of your kid. Of course, it's your main responsibility, it's your priority. But it doesn't mean that you don't exist anymore. So you have to take care of yourself in order to take care of the others. And one of the metaphors that I always use many times in many situations, not only for mothers, but relationships, friendships, everything, it's an empty jar cannot pour anything. Yeah. So if you pour, then something's coming out. But if you don't take care to fill in that jar again, there will be a point that that jar doesn't pour anything anymore. So it's the same for us. We can't give only and don't look at ourselves and take care of ourselves, because there will be one point that you can't give it anymore. And then the whole thing is compromised, you know. So it should be like a balance and should be a cycle. I give, but I should also give to myself. I take care, but I should also take care of myself. It's not a selfish act. It's not a selfish behavior. It's actually a respect to yourself. You know, you also deserve that. And it's a matter of self-love as well. Yeah. And the problem is that I think, we still live in a society that it normalized these toxic thoughts. I think before was much more, but now we still see that a lot. And this normalization comes from a point of view that when a mother does everything and dedicate 100% to her kids, this means she's a good mother. She's humble. You know, it means humility. You know? So, and that's how it becomes normal, and that's how we put pressure on ourselves, you know?
Which actually, you're not giving everything to your child at the end, even though it might seem so, maybe from a material point of view, like you're giving them food, you're giving them this and that, but maybe from a more emotional point of view, you're not giving as much as you can, really. But sometimes we just see the surface of
exactly
of the things.
And as you said, sometimes we may think that we are giving everything while we are giving up the other things for us. We are giving, but maybe we would give, we would give much more if we give it to them, but we also give it to ourselves. Because just thinking away, like if you don't rest, if you never rest, you will always be tired. And maybe that will compromise the way how you treat your kids,
Absolutely.
how you be with them. You know, you are there, but you are not fully present.
Exactly.
You know? So it's better that you take a moment, you rest, you breathe, you know, and then you get back, and then you are in a better state of mind. You are feeling much better to be a better mother, let's say. You know? So
it's so much connected also to the previous episode that we made. That part when we were talking about yelling at your child, right? If you are this tired, and so this disconnected also from yourself because you are super tired,
exactly.
You most likely you might lose patience more often, you might yell more often, and so on. So yes, self-care is crucial.
It's crucial, yes. And that's when it comes to fill in your jar. you know, otherwise then nothing will come out of that.
So how can we understand which thoughts of self-sabotage come from the way we were raised and what others come from how we are programmed to be, basically?
There are some ways to help us to identify some self-sabotage thoughts. And one of them, and I think that's the most efficient way, let's say, in my opinion at least, is try to identify what are the statements in your mind that are very repetitive, you know, and usually they are a complete statement, you know, and it always repeats in your mind. And then try to think if these thoughts, if these statements, they were said by somebody before, if they were being repeated by someone else. I'll give you an example. For example, we might hear that a good mother is a mother who never sleeps. You know, I heard this many times. Good mother never sleeps. So you have this it's a fixed phrase, you know, and then try to think, okay, did I hear this before? And then try to dig it. And then you might think, oh, my grandmother used to say that a lot, you know.
But how do we understand that this is wrong?
It's not, that's the thing, because it's not, I mean, that it's a truth of someone else. So that's the main point. It's not exactly that was seen in a bad way. Maybe she sees in a different way, but it's how we repeated that and how we react to that. You know, and then you have to differentiate what is your own thought and what is a thought coming from someone else. Because if you identify, okay, my grandma used to say that, and then my mom used to say that, and now I actually repeat that as well, and I believe on that, and then you have to see, like, is this impacting my life in a negative way? You know, is this stopping me to do something? Is this compromising my well-being? And then, because there are how do I say, there are thoughts, we call these limiting beliefs. Let's say, like in a technical word, we call these limiting beliefs. But there are beliefs that they are not limiting. They are repetitive statements that comes in our minds, but they are positive and they help us to strive. So these are the thoughts that we need to keep in our life. So if you identify those thoughts that they are impacting your life in a negative way and it's blocking you from something good, that's why you have to be careful. And then you have to see, whoever had that thought before, you need to take this thought and give back to that person, you know? And then, because otherwise this will never change. It's a cycle that goes endless until someone take the decision that this stops here on me, you know? So these were thoughts from them and it will remain there. From now, this is my thought. Like, instead of, so you identified the statement, you identified where it comes from, and now you have to repurpose. So you, instead of believing like a good mother never sleeps, so a good mother have the right to take a rest. Just an example, for example. So you replace that previous thought with another thought that it resonates better with you, and it can actually makes you move forward in your own beliefs. You know,
without feeling guilty.
Exactly. Right. So the same way as these self-sabotage thoughts are always there talking, we need to teach our brain a new thought and make that repeat. I always say about repetition because that's how our brain works. You know, how our brain learns through repetition.
Actually, you just reminded me of a saying of Aristotle that says that you are what you repeatedly do.
Yes.
Also, maybe what you repeatedly repeat. So in your mind, so what we think is going to be transformed into actions. You know, so very important.
For sure, and that's how we learn. It's repetition, repeating, and we learn those thoughts the same way. So now we need to teach our brain another thought that it help us, and then repeat that, repeat. It took, I don't know how old you are, how old are the people, but it took until now for you to build that mindset. So it's not gonna be overnight, you know, to have a new thought. So it requires effort. You need to want that. But it's possible. So just need to work on it and do it. But just to revise, just so the people really understand, is identify these statements that is very repetitive. Try and write it down, maybe, write it down in a paper. Identify the statement, try to dig where this is coming from, where did you hear this, and then from there, generate a new statement, a positive statement, a statement that you feel connected with, and that has a positive impact with you. Do this, write it down as many as you want, and then after that, put only these positive self thoughts, or these positive thoughts, and you can stick that on your mural too. Like it connects with the exercise of the previous episode. So maybe for that exercise, use the phrases that you are doing now and keep it there. And I tell you from my personal experience, I did that and I still do it. I did this morning, by the way. And it's there. I read it and I convince myself of those things. Really.
Can I ask you one of the things that you wrote?
Yes, there are many, but let me
Just
see.
one.
Okay. Yes, okay. So there was one that I used to hear from some people in my family, that I never finish anything. I start and I never finish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes. So things like this, I can give other examples even, but this was one of the examples. Raquel, you start everything, but you never finish anything. That hurts, and I repeat that for many years in my life, in my head. So now it's there, written. Whatever you start, you've always finish. And I usually advise people not to use this very strong word as always or never. Yeah, I put it on mine, but that's an exception. Let's not consider that. But the best way is like, whatever you finish, whatever you start, you can finish, So that gives it's not too tough, it's not always there are possibility. Maybe something happened on the way that it's an emergency or something that you didn't finish. So, okay, not to give an excuse, but it's just, to be kinder.
Yes. You reminded me of one of my thoughts. Now, I don't remember exactly from where it came.
Yeah.
But it's, you either do it well 100% or you don't start at all.
Okay.
It's you either do it the way it has to be done or don't do it.
Yeah.
And with this mindset, you don't start many things.
And then it leads to the perfectionism.
Exactly. That's the thing, because actually it's better to start. Maybe you thought you will do 100 today, you do only 50, you do only 20. At least you have progress.
Of course.
So my point is that don't be so perfectionist so that you don't start anything at all. And you just need to try your best. Sometimes you will reach 100, as you said, sometimes you reach 80.
Yes.
It's okay. Sometimes even 1, but there is progress. It's always better than 0, than nothing at all.
Yeah. One very impactful statement that I learned in my process of self-awareness was something related to that it says it's better done than wanting to be perfect. So it's better that you do it, even if it's not perfect. Then you can improve afterwards. Even if you launch something, it's not yet the way you want it, so you do a relaunch afterwards. Improve it. But it's better to start, and then you understand that what is the scenario, what you can improve later. But do it, and better small steps and slow steps than no steps.
Yes.
Well, guys, my friend Dania needed to leave because her daughter just woke up from her nap. So I have to do this by myself. So here we are. So I have an invitation for you guys again. Is to join our WhatsApp group with more information about these topics. You can get extra tips. You can get connected with other people. And I must say, the group is silenced. Yeah. So if you are the kind of person who has a little bit of anxiety of, these notifications of many people in the group, we will keep the group silence. It's just to feed information, to feed extra knowledge and tips about these whole topics that we are talking about. Okay, I'll wait for you there. The link is in the description and you can choose the language either in Portuguese or in English. And stay tuned for the next episode where we're going to talk about the changes that the body of a woman goes through after motherhood. See you.